Hi and welcome to CX Today. I'm Susie Harrison, Senior Content Editor, and I'm delighted to be joined for the CX Trends video by Ping Wu, who is CEO at Cresta. And Cresta is reinventing the contact center with generative AI. So today we're going to discuss using LLMs to power your knowledge center. Welcome, Ping.
Hi, Susie. Thank you for having me. Super
So let's
excited to be
start.
here.
So let's start by discussing some of the common misconceptions around LLMs and how they can be implemented in businesses.
Right. Yeah. So LLM has gained a lot of popularity since the ChatGPT, and then we have seen, there are different ways there where it can be very useful, but there are also, as you said, the common misconceptions. And the first, people tend to think that it's end-to-end text generation. It's a text generation machine, right? You throw in a question, it will give you an answer, but in fact, LLM can really break down into two parts. One is comprehension, the other is taking action, what we call decoding, right? And we believe that LLMs can, in a lot of business contexts, can be more useful applied in the comprehension only, where they can understand the question and intent of the user, and then the output action can be made more deterministic, and then by the business logic and follow the business logic, right? And then the second thing is that LLMs, they're also very strong in synthesis, and not only just in terms of question answering, but also they can really extract key concept out of a large amount of text. And then, in fact, summarization is one of the most mature use case for LLM. Um, and and then third thing is that a lot of times we see the common misconception is really from applying the intuition we developed from understanding the human intelligence directly to LLM. So there are things that we think that's hard for humans to do that may be very easy for LLM to do, and then that's easy for human to do can be very hard for LLMs to do, right? I can give you one example. When you directly apply LLM as is to customer support use case, right? And you will think that the LLM can pass GRE verbal, and they can pass AP biology and advanced placement biology exams better than probably 98% or 99% of the humans. Why they will get some very simple support question wrong where you already have knowledge or the supporting document? Why would they hallucinate, right? So these are the things that just not directly transform, directly equal to human intelligence. So we really just treat it as a separate intelligence, has its own strengths and weaknesses. And then I remember the second part of your question is that, how do you apply and implement them in business, right? So I think there are two common approaches. One is to fine tune the LLM with the use case specific data. So when you apply LLMs in different domains, there you have your use case specific data. You can use that to fine tune the weights so that the model can generate the better output for your particular use case. One example is also the killer example of LLM in enterprise is called coding copilot, right? Software development. If you fine tune that based on coding repository, and the coding copilot can generate the much better quality in terms of the code, right? And then the second approach is often called retrieval augmented generation, or commonly known as RAG, right? Where relevant business data are first searched and retrieved, right? And then LLMs used for those documents to feed into, and then the LLM can synthesis again, use the synthesis capability of LLMs to answer the questions directly by analyzing the text from multiple documents.
And how are LLMs being used effectively in knowledge centers today?
Right. So we see in Questa there are three different ways we see that LM can be valuable in knowledge center. The first is semantic search, where LLMs can really understand the query and document at the semantic level, and then apply the context so that it can significantly improve the search quality, finding the relevant documents even though the keywords may not exact match, right? And then second, is the answer synthesis. LLMs can go beyond retrieving just the document, but also generate the answer directly by synthesizing and reading through all these different documents. So this is something that's super useful for agents in real time to access knowledge. And then the third thing is less commonly known, is what we called AI assist knowledge curation. What we found when we talked to enterprises, the pain point of knowledge center is that the content may be out of date, or there are questions that from yesterday's call center that asked towards agents where there's no answer in the knowledge base, right? So AI by seeing all the conversations in the contact center, Cresta now can really, in the aggregate level, find what is the latest question. There's no answer in your knowledge base that you need to provide the answer, or what are the questions that have the answers that so contradicts or inconsistent what actually agent respond, your top agent response. So then you can pinpoint those entries in your knowledge base that's out of date and then they're ready to be updated.
And what steps should an organisation follow to build an LLM or to make the most of what they already have?
Right. So, in fact, what we believe that for most organizations, it probably does not make sense to build LLM from scratch, right? Because there are many well-capitalized organization initiatives that building LLMs already and at different size LLMs. And then LLM model will continue to get better, and then Meta invest significant amount of capital to buy a lot of H100 and then train those LLMs and make them open source. So the open source community of LLMs is very, very strong and producing better and better LLMs over time, right? So for most organizations, we believe that it does not really make sense to invest to build LLM from scratch, right? So that's number one. Number two, we think that first, to figure out how do you apply LLM is to first figure out what's the business goals. What do you want to achieve? And then what's the measurement to apply to measure success? What's the ROI that you're looking for? Because a lot of time we do think that people think LLM is cool, and then it's not a panacea to solve all the business problems. We really understand the business problems. Some may not require LLM to solve. That may be just a data problem or data silo problem, right? And then just use analogy, you really need to find the nail, identify the nail, and then you decide on which hammer you use, which the size or the cost and latency, and for you. And then the fourth point is that a lot of time we see LLM being used in business. The challenge will not really come from the model, but rather from the data. The data is siloed. You don't have your knowledge base together, or you don't have a single source of truth about your customers. So that make applying AI much harder, right? So I think it's much important to get the data in order first.
And what are some other common pitfalls when adopting this technology?
Right. There are some high-profile failures when you implement LLM poorly, right? So there are some car dealerships that in the news that a chatbot based on LLM sold a car for $1, right? And some airlines, the LLM-based chatbot that promised customer refunds that simply didn't exist. So those are the examples where you directly apply LLM to the task where actually precision is required and there's only one single answer. So LLM out of box is not really a good fit for those use cases. So identify the use case first and then apply LLMs and potentially with guardrails.
And more positively, can you give us some examples of how LLMs are being used effectively to enhance customer experiences?
Right. So one thing I think it's probably should be done for all the contact center is that LLM is really good, again, generate summaries, right? So still today, we seen a lot of enterprise support agents, they take notes when they talk to customers because they want to shorten their after-call work. So AI LLMs can really just generate all these summaries, and then by listening to the entire conversation, and then Cresta have the technology now can really generate the summary as the conversation goes on, so that the agent can modify what's being generated by AI. So I think that can really reduce the stress level of the agents, then also custom benefit. So that's number one, and number two is that again related to the theme of this interview, right? LLMs can make knowledge base a lot more accessible. So agent can directly issue questions to the knowledge base, and the LLMs will find the answer. So these are the things that LLM does really well, um, defining the answer and synthesize the answer. And then, and also the third thing that we use at Questa very effectively is that use LLM to really understand the conversation, right? To understand the context of conversation and understand what happened maybe 3 minutes ago or 2 minutes ago. And those contexts are very useful to determine what the agent can do next, right? So according to their playbook. And so that's how we start and this capability called real-time coaching, where you can find all these coaching opportunities in the conversation and then give the guidance to the agent, so that can improve the CX
And
experience.
what's Cresta's view on how this space will evolve, and also how the evolution of AI will sort of augment alongside it?
Right. So we are extremely excited about contact center transformation with AI, Susie, and that's the mission of the company. Um, is we want to build the AI native contact center, and in order to do that, we believe that contact center of the future is really a hybrid human and AI system, where AI will augment human, meet customer where they are today, and augment human at the same time, learn from humans and get better over time. So increasingly number of amount of conversations will be automated end to end. But that process, in my opinion, will happen gradually, just due to the complexity of the enterprise stack and heterogeneous nature of the agent tasks. A lot of those tasks are not conversation nature. That's related to interact with computer and interact with screens. So it will not be a similar, transformation as we have seen, like smartphones and feature phones, and then smartphone will replace most of feature phones like within a few years. We do think that human agents will be really upskilled to higher value customer engagement. And also the second, we believe that AI Copilot, they were not only automating the task for humans and also guide humans, but they will enhance human ability to superhuman levels, right? Things like real-time translation powered by LLMs will really unleash the productivity and break down the language barrier in the contact center, right? And then things like voice enhancement, real-time accent neutralization, and then real-time retrieval and synthesize information from various sources. These are things that human agent today cannot really do, but with AI, you can augment them to do. And then the one last thing I would think that the future of the LLM powered AI, they will learn to operate in computers. So I think that's where the excitement will really happen. Is that it will move from a single modality AI, from just conversation speech, to really multi-model AI, where they can see and understand the screen just like a human will do, and then operating on the screen. That's how you meet the customer where they are, and that's how we think that most of the legacy systems will be transformed.
Great. Well, really interesting discussion today, and we look forward to continue to tracking this technology on CX today. And thank you, Ping from Cresta, for joining us. And until
Thank
next
you
time.
so much, Susie, again for having me, and I really enjoyed the conversation.
Great. Thank you, everyone, for watching as well.